Good morning. So a couple of weeks ago, I was walking up here to the church, and I found myself thinking about my dad and Kay Jorgensen, Stonewall Allen, and others who have passed away and whom I loved deeply and cared about. It was one of those moments where I was questioning whether I had spent enough time with them, how often I didn't make it to visit or to sit down and talk because life was so full. As I was feeling some angst that they had gone and that I didn't have more time or didn't take more time, I had one of those loud voices rise up through the density of doubt and failure. Would any amount of time been enough time? I was thinking about the approaching Day of the Dead and All Saints and All Souls Day, and it made sense to me of why most cultures or faith traditions would think of some way, some ritual or belief system around death, wanting the presence of ones we loved and who loved or inspired us to remain vividly alive in our lives, to have an eternal life. When I looked up Dia de los Muertos to find out a little more about its origin, I appreciated learning that the custom of celebrating the Day of the Dead came about as the indigenous people of Mexico considered mourning the dead disrespectful, because death is just another stage in the cycle of life. It is a holiday to help us think about a death-positive way of being. Being death-positive reminded me of one of my favorite prayers of St. Francis of Assisi in the Canticle of the Sun that he composed in the last years of his life. In the Canticle, Francis praises Brother Sun and Sister Moon and stars, Brother Wind, Mother Earth, and Brother Fire. He praises their qualities and their gifts and gives them thanks. And then shortly before his death, he added the final verse. Praise be to you, my Lord, through our sister bodily death, from whom no living being can escape. Whenever I read or sing this part of the canticle, I feel a sense of peace in the honest realization and acceptance that death is a part of life. It does not mean that we do not feel tremendous loss when someone we love dies, but it invites us to find consolation by giving death a rightful place as a part of life. Now, I have to be honest, there are some days that I think that passing from this ever-crazy world would not be so bad. Words like, eternal rest, grant unto her, O Lord, have a certain appeal. But the darn thing is that there is such a permanency to sister bodily death. And whether for me or for the ones I grieve for, this is the hardest part to accept. They will never be back in the form that I have known them. My time has not come, and so I am here on this side with the rest of you. And together we seek to make sense of death and find ways to make peace with the depth of loss, the absence of the ones we loved and have cared for. After my dad died, my mom had a note by a candle burning that had a picture of him on it. It said, "By your absence, you are present." I know these words. Most days I light a candle by a picture of Kay, whom I miss most moment of every day. I light a candle by my dad, with me dancing with him on the day that I made my final commitment in the Franciscan community. I light a candle by Racelea Landman, my spiritual teacher, one by Eduardo, who called me mom after his own mom died when he was 10, when I was living in Nicaragua. Eduardo grew to 6 feet tall, but he was never too big to sit in my lap like he did when he was 10. He was murdered at the age of 27 in the streets of Nicaragua. I light candles by picture of Stone and Edward Tyler and the many in our circle of fools who have died with seemingly too few years on this earth. Yes, I light a lot of candles because I count on the constant presence of all who have been a part of my life. For some, though I miss them deeply and wish they had lived till a ripe old age, I acknowledge that a part of me is grateful that they are no longer here suffering. For others who lived long lives and quietly gave way to that place of eternal light and rest, I give thanks that they peacefully moved on to the other side of life. I find a certain solemnity and peace this time of year when the earth is turning and leaves are falling to the ground, and we are offered space in a variety of rituals and traditions to remember those who have died and who will always be present in their absence. Whether we believe there is a heaven or whether we believe death of body is the end, I will always be grateful for the experience of being in the presence of one's perpetual light, for the image that they are experiencing eternal rest. For praise be to you, Sister Bodily Death, for I know no matter how much I desire one to live forever, I nor any of us will escape you.